Well, hello, you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. It's pretty late. It's 12:10 in the morning. I'm actually going to bed now because I have to get up at 8 o'clock to handle some business. So, you guys, I'm pretty excited about, this weekend. It's my birthday and I'm celebrating. And of course, I'm like, girl, listen, let me start giving my people some tea. You know what I mean? Let me gift my people as if it's their birthday as well. Hello. Can we get into it? Plus, I told y'all what my goal was. I wanted to buy something for my birthday. So I'm like, let me offer the deals so then I can chill, okay, and get what I got to get. Hello, can we talk about it? And so, first, y'all, I get emails from you guys randomly, periodically. I mean, some people I haven't heard from you in a very long time. I get an email and I'm like, what? Oh my God, hey, I didn't forget, but it's like, well, it's been a while. And so, you guys, we're doing the 5 days of gifting, okay? And so, up until 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, tomorrow or today, we're doing the servitors. Now, a lot of people are like intimidated by that because you may not know what servitors are. You may be like, what the fuck is a servitor? Blah, 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 blah. So, just a little insight. People have the idea that the only way to do magic effectively, how would I say this? I heard a lot of people say natural energy. It's like you do your own intentions, your own focus, right? And then you conjure and invoke a deity or whatever to fulfill your purpose. So it kind of takes off of your natural gift. But little do they know, it's like I said, this is what, self-taught witches, self-taught spiritualists, what separates self-taught from those who are actually trained, okay? Those who are actually trained and guided by other professional, spiritualists, is that even when you're using deities, orishas, and all this other good stuff, your energy is still being used to activate this. That's why we venerate spirits, right? Veneration is regeneration, which is using yourself. You are the battery pack. You are the amplifier to awaken these energies within these deities. And so you are still the life force. You are still the energy behind the purpose of what this spirit is performing the act for. Now, spirits are omnipresent, which means that they could be helping out multiple people at one time, but it's because there's a personal relationship between yourself and the spirit you're working with. And what you give is what you get. And so once again, your energy is what feeds these deities. So there's not, no, I'm going to conjure up a entity and I'm going to allow this energy to work on my behalf while I sit down and I shit the shot and do all this other bullshit. Because, that's a major, misconception. Now, going into creating servitors, you are taking charge. You are taking responsibility and accountability for the energy that you're putting out there. And yes, it works the same way as conjuring up entities, deities, orishas, etc. But once again, you are solely creating this energy, this force, to fulfill a purpose for you. And of course, it's working for you in your sleep. It's working for you when you're awake. Because, of course, if you don't know, your subconscious mind and other aspects of you are feeding this energy. So that's just a little insight without giving away too much about what a servitor is. And those who know about high magic and occult, magic, exactly what a servitor is. So once again, you create these energies, and people are creating servitors throughout the day, throughout their life and not even realizing it. And when they get into a certain situation, they're not realizing that they created that situation. It's not necessarily them, jumping through timelines and moving things and shifting things out the way to achieve things or to put obstacles in front of them, but it's you created something, and that something you created is working for you. Okay. And so that is like the behind the scenes, behind the scenes. Hello. Okay. And I do want to tell y'all this, I say I have the juice. And I want to tell y'all this, like I've been doing spiritual work, and a lot of people say this, but they really have no proof. They can't call no mama, no sister, no auntie, no uncle, no brother. They can't ask no random stranger what experiences they have. They cannot call people who are trustworthy to say, yes, this is what it is, this is how it is. But what I'm telling you is that my life is a prime example of my knowledge on magic and energy. And of course, I'm always here, as I say, to help you. I got the juice. Okay. And I'm not saying I'm the only one that got the juice. Okay, let's step back, let's get back to reality. I'm not saying I'm the only one. But what I am saying, 30 days, honey, if you're in a predicament right now, you're in a bind right now, you're just feeling like you're just hopeless. You feel like the hole is getting deeper. You feel like you cannot see light. You don't feel like life is going to turn around. Give me 30 days, 30 days with you, a one-on-one, and you will see some differences. You will see some results. And I tell y'all this, going into magical things, right? Yes, the money that's attached to doing work for people. Yeah, sometimes it can be nice. Sometimes it's fulfilling. But I like to keep my clients coming back, legitimately. And we've talked about this many, many times. If we've done the same ritual more than one time, and you're not getting your results, and of course I've given you insight on the situation, I'll be willing to bet the money that you sent me that you are doing what you want to do. You're not taking my advice. You're not taking the guidelines. You're not taking my guidance. And of course, I'm not going to be the dead horse, and so that's what it comes down to. 30 days, changing your mindset, right? Because that's what it's about, changing your mindset and believing that everything you're wanting is possible. Now, of course, you may be like, this is make-believe. And you're a skeptical person. Like I said, I love working with skeptical people. You're a skeptic, you don't believe in magic, the arts, or any of that. Like I said, reach out to me, 28spirit@gmail.com, and we'll have a discussion on some things. Maybe I can help you solve some of your mysteries, questions that you've been having about certain things that just have not been answered. But understanding how energy works and understanding truly who you are, like it's really within. Okay. And so, of course, like I said, I have the juice. And, if you're feeling like stuck, trapped, scared, you don't know what, is going to happen, in your life in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. Maybe you're currently in a bad situation. You're not feeling too sure. Like I said, I'm here to help. And of course, depending on what you're needing, we're going to get to it. And of course, I want to help you directly. Okay, I want to help you to be a one-on-one thing. Personally, everyone does not need the same solution. I always use this analogy because I do work with people, and sometimes they have done work with other spirituals. And they're like, oh, this is crazy. This is not the way they did it, right? And I tell y'all this, right? There is like 1,001 rituals out there for money, 1,001 rituals out there for protection, for luck, whatever. But it's because there's 1,001 ways to change your luck. Like your luck differs from someone else's luck. Maybe you're having bad luck because maybe you did some fucked up to someone that you're holding on to that guilt for. And now because the universe is feeling that, you're creating that, the universe is saying, oh, they love feeling this way, so let's give out more energy for them to feel this way, right? And so like I say, you need someone, to guide you, to be there to motivate you, to inspire you, and unbiasedly as well. Like I said, I speak my mind, I speak my opinion, but I told y'all, this year after my birthday, baby, I am minding my business to the fullest. Baby, if it does not apply, I'm gonna let it fly. If it's not directed towards me, it has nothing to do with me. Now, of course, the exception would be if I'm paid to be in that motherfucking business. You're damn right, I'll definitely be in that business. But just to be in the business, I'm not concerned with that. What they say, mind the business that pay you. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Hello. Okay. And so, like I said, that's that. Servitor up until 12. Like I said, after 12, you guys will have another gift. This will be the third day, y'all. We're doing 5 days. Hello. 5 days. We will be doing another gift at 12 o'clock. And I think y'all gonna like it. I want to say this as well. I'm kind of giving y'all like insight on, things and just you can kind of see how things work from a different perspective, right? Everyone's out there talking about the same money ritual. Everybody's out there talking about the same love ritual. Everybody's out there doing the same process. I tell you guys, I like to explain to you all the process. I like to explain to you when we're doing workings on people, things, whatever. I like to explain to you what we're doing and why it works. A lot of people be having y'all tied up, bonded, bound to them. And when you go out to seek help from other people because you are contractually involved with these people, spiritually, you get done up. And I even say this to the sense where you will do workings with some people, and some people will literally, invoke energies on your behalf, once again, set you up on a contract, and you're not even understanding or knowing that you're doing something to kind of offend these spirits. And so now they get you together. And I'm going to say this as well. Once again, energy, right? It's free flowing, right? Magic is free flowing, right? From time to time, a trained individual could contain or direct that flow, but it's free flowing. People have to understand that every ritual, every spell, everything you do magically has a left hand and a right hand. It has a good side and a bad side. And that's why I was even, some people I know, I won't throw them under the bus. They can, say if they want to say it under the bus. But some people I was training, I explained to them, don't get so hung over. I'm trying to do a love ritual. What color would I use for this? Once again, every color could be used for a different purpose. And we talk about it. Money, just think of the commonly used colors: brown, gold, yellow, pink, red, orange, purple. These could all be used for money, but it depends on what is your purpose for getting this money. What is your purpose of having this money, right? If you're wanting it for fun, okay? A yellow card will be good for that. Just fun, have fun, whatever, just a fun thing. If you're getting into gambling, right? And if, I'm not going to judge, that's your business. Red, that'd be good, okay? When people are in a dire need of money, the colors that are good to work with is purple and gold. Okay. Very steadily, you would do pink and brown. Once again, it depends on what you're needing the money for. It's an emergency, but what is an emergency for? Are you dealing with an eviction? Are you dealing with a car note? Are you dealing with, food? Are you dealing with medical bill? Are you dealing with debt collector? Are you dealing with legal issues? Like, all this plays a role in the color that is used. And even as I was mentioning in my previous video, a lot of understanding of getting so fixated on certain things, like I got to use this herb for this and this color for this. That's the watered down, westernized, he say, she say aspect. Because even going into culturally speaking, different cultures use different colors for different for money. Some cultures don't think that or don't believe that there's different reasons for needing your money. So if you subscribe to that, then of course you would stick to the modern, the basic money colors, green. Okay. But like I said, there are different reasons, certain energies you work with. Of course, colors vibrate at different frequencies to the point where they have numbers that are connected to each color. Okay. And I was going to go on something else, but I'll save that for, a private session. But so yes, every situation is different. Like I said, me, speaking with you, I'll be able to, put together a personalized plan. 30 days, okay? That's it, okay? And like I said, we'll talk about that down the line. 2experience@gmail.com if you're interested in any of my services. send me an email. Like I said, honey, I got the juice. Okay. And I really got that song, y'all, from one of my favorite artists of all time, Janelle Monáe. Okay, come on in here, Janelle Monáe. She said, if you try to grab my pussy, then my pussy gonna grab you back. If you try to grab my pussy, yeah. Because remember on that time, your president said that he's gonna grab her right now. And she's letting him know, if you grab my shit, it's gonna grab you right on back. And I'm like, oh girl, that's just so empowering. You try to grab mine, it's gonna grab you right on back and stop. So baby, anyway, I got the juice. Anyway, y'all, today was a great day. It's gonna be even better tomorrow, and so forth and so forth. And y'all, I'm excited. Listen, I'm drinking my last bit of my V8 pomegranate and blueberry juice. It actually expired 5 days ago, but baby, 7 days it was concealed. It was sealed up. I never opened it. I said, baby, I mean, the worst is that it's fermented and it's going to taste like wine. But no, it's still fresh. It tastes good. It tastes sweet. I will be back, y'all, on Friday for the grand gift finale. Oh, yes, baby. Listen, I'm making my rounds too, girl. Hello, I'm making my rounds, y'all. I'm reaching out to old people and shit that I've known for years to say, hey, my birthday's coming up. Trying to get some mangoes, honey. Yeah. Oh, you got it? You got it for me? Or you don't got it for me? I'm okay with being told no. Being told no doesn't bother me. It inspires me to work harder. Hello? Yes, it inspires me to work harder, baby. I'm motivated, okay? So, I mean, you got it or you don't got it? And so that's what I've been doing. Oh, that's what I've been doing. And so, y'all, like I said, Friday we'll be back for the grand finale. Like I said, we have 2 more days of, gifting. The first one's Monday. The second one's Tuesday. Y'all, we're going into Wednesday. This will be the 3rd day after today. We have 2 more days, y'all. And like I said, check the blogspot, twospiritmystic.blogspot.com. We offer an array of services, y'all, readings. And of course, y'all know this, but there's new people that come. They send me emails that I'm like, wait a minute. And of course, I do want to say this too. I did receive an email from someone. And they were like, you were talking about magical things, right? And things backfiring. And you were explaining that, the energy you put out, you do get the energy back. And they were a little concerned, right? I won't go in verbatim what email they sent, but they were a little concerned because I was like, yeah, I got a reading from you. And you said that there are people that are in my way from achieving my goals. And I was doing workings on them. So I just, I want to make sure everything's going to be cool. And I'm going to say this, right, again, because maybe they missed this part. And it's okay. I'm down to explain it multiple times. So if your intention is well, if your reason for doing the workings is to protect yourself. Now we're not talking about possibly you're dating a man who's clearly a player and he has multiple women and you want him only to yourself. So you're like, I want to do workings to where these other girls, because you said these girls are interfering in my goal. I want them out of the picture. Let me do some workings on them and fuck them up. The type of working that I would advise you to do first would be for you to stand out more than these other girls. It would be for you to be seen as the perfect choice. It'd be for you to be seen as the prize, because clearly he's trying to outweigh his options. And of course, just an example, because this is not the person's, situation. The situation was something totally different, more serious. People were kind of interfering. And of course, I advised them on who, what, when, why, and how. And I explained to them, and like I'm explaining to it now, again, you are protecting yourself this situation is justified because now these people are talking about you behind your back and they're not saying good things. They're not telling this person, I'm going to stay out of it, mind my business, you're grown, you make your own choice, your own decision. They are literally trying to pursue, sway this person's choice. This person likes you, this person want to be with you. This person gave you their all. They gave you things that they never gave anybody else. And they were dating someone prior to you for most of their life. And of course, they date you, and within 3 years, they give you something, right? They give you something amazing, something, that you will forever cherish. And so I'm like, yeah, these people are advising him not to fuck with you because they want him to be with the other motherfuckers, because the other motherfuckers, they like to pay for shit. They want the other individuals, because the other individuals like to come over and feed everybody in the house. Y'all hungry? You need some food? Let's go shopping. And you shouldn't have to do that as the wife, as the girlfriend, as the fiance. You shouldn't have to do that. That is not your home. You don't even live, in that situation, So it's like, yeah, you are doing justifiable work. These people have put up negative things towards you, and you're not doing anything bad. You're not putting them in a, vinegar jar. You're not doing hexes and curses on them. You're literally, stopping them and releasing them in light, so that way he can only focus on you. And like I said, that's always been my angle. I'm not about, someone call you out your name. I mentioned before, I would say one of the heaviest workings I've done for somebody that could be seen as a negative thing was a fellow, LGBT member, lesbian to be exact, was being harassed and fucked with at their job. And they were being harassed by men and women. And just so happened the men were being more intimidating and more bullying. So I'm like, although this is a lesbian person, a stud at that, which, they were trained to fight and they also were licensed to carry. So they could definitely handle themselves if it came down to it. But imagine the energy when you're being attacked by multiple people. Imagine the energy that's being sent your way. So physically, if you needed to get down, you could get down. But energetically, your energy is being drained. Energetically, you're getting headaches. Energetically, you're having nightmares. Energetically, and then it was getting deeper than that. Like, these people were gang stalking her. And so, of course, I got nasty. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do some fucked up ass shit to hold off that tea. And then we're building up her energy in the process. I'm building her up and surrounding her. And as I said, it was crazy. She wasn't sleeping. She was going to work for 10 hours plus, and she would come home because they were actually following her home. They were fucking with her mailbox and shit. They were doing fucked up ass shit. And so, like I said, that's probably the shit I did during that ritual was probably my darkest work. And even in that process, like, I did not feel like myself in that process. Like, I felt like something was taking over and, getting into that. And so, like I said, after the heavy stuff was done, the light work was done. And of course, because this was a contractual thing, a lot of stuff came into play. And so, like I said, I'm always about the lighter stuff. If there's something going on, I'm never about going against anybody's will. If you have a man or a woman who no longer wants to be with you, and they've always stayed on that they don't want to be with you, they never gave you the intention that they wanted you, and yet you just want to try to fuck with them, and no, I want this motherfucker, they want me and all that. You're kind of going against someone's will, and that's not the work that I do, right? That's just not what I do. That energy cannot be worked in my home. The energy cannot be worked in my space. It cannot be worked around my babies, my fur babies. And so that's how I am with that. The lighter always wins. Now, sometimes you have to get down and dirty, but like I said, you still replace that down and dirtiness with light, positive energy, right? You still replace that energy with lighter stuff, right? And of course, like I said, if you got work done with me, we ever got into some nasty stuff, I call it abyss level deep ritual. Okay, we get down and we get dirty. Okay, baby, almost kind of like a mirror. What they gave you, we give it back to them tenfold. Okay, and there's a lot with a lot. And like I said, we have discussions about these things. Videos are sent over, voice recorders are sent over. Sometimes we talk directly on the phone. It just depends on my schedule while I'm doing this working. And we explain the process. And of course, people have concerns and questions because they're like, well, I want to make sure that, da, da, da. And once again, this is justifiable work. I don't just do things because somebody called you out your name. Someone called you a duck-faced tranny. I'm not going to, let's put a hex on them. That type of thing. Like, girl, words are words, girl. They called you a duck-faced tranny. You call them a bad bilge, whatever. Words, my words can hurt just as deep as your words can hurt. And if you really want to be cute about it, baby, that's when you can, reject that energy and return that energy right back to them. And of course, a lot of people think it's always about candle work and stuff, y'all. Like, there's energy, universal life force that connects all of us together. And this is why people can perform rituals on people or for people without asking for items. Because see, that's why I'm telling y'all too. These people be like, I need you to send a piece of what did this one say? And I hit them up and they won't respond to me. I sent them a personal email. They had a number involved. I called the number. I left a voicemail. They were saying something about if a spiritualist is doing work for you, but they are not seeing you in person or they're not asking for items, they are not doing work or they're scamming. And I'm like, well, clearly you know nothing about energy and how energy works. Because I can clearly sit here without burning candles on you or having an item of yours, close my eyes, think of you. You will think of me, and then you will call me and say, hey, I thought of you. And a lot of times, not even in the same moment, sometimes a few days later, I say, hey, for some odd reason, I thought of you, or I had a dream about you. That's how that works. So the same energy that caused you to call me up, or you were thinking about me to send you, I was thinking about you, or I saw this and there's some idea of you, is the same way how I could sit here over in California, you could be over there in Florida, and I could do some motherfucking workers on you or anybody you need me to do working on. On top of that, being tapped into, charged into, trained into, baby, like I said, you just got to know what you know and do what you know how to do without giving away too much tea. Like I said, we don't feed the haters. We don't feed the enemy. If you don't know, you don't know. So you're still doing working, and that'll be even a deeper cut in. If you're doing working still and you're doing it from a basic level where you need somebody's drawers, you need a diaper, I need a piece of this man's hair and all this stuff, because shit, girl, listen, you are not qualified to do distant energy work. You're not qualified to do long distance healing. You're not qualified to do long distance rituals. You're just not qualified. And that's okay. Everybody's not qualified. You can be doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. You're not qualified to do distant energy. You're not qualified to, tap into the universal source and gain access to those energies. And that's okay. Everybody can't be good at everything. Everybody's not meant to know how to do everything. It's called stay in your lane and do what you know how to do best. As I said, for people who know about the energy, who knows how to do long distance, energetic, transfers or healing or, whatever, however, there's many, projections and all the good stuff, that, you would know how to tap in. Okay. And even going to people who be claiming to be, Satanists and stuff, and I'm a demon witch, and I'm a demonologist. I work with demons and stuff. I don't work with angels. I work only with demons and Lucifer and shit. Well, even better, the man who introduced you to Lucifer, because you didn't have that knowledge. The man who introduced you to Lucifer, they said in their books, and you can go get their books on Amazon. I mean, the most important book is like $350, but it's okay. Y'all got it. Y'all spending that shit on weed and shit. Y'all got it. He says, one of them says that you have to study the individual that you want to get, and you have to begin to mimic them. You have to begin to mimic them. And in the process of mimicking them, you're able to tap into their energies, and then you're able to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In none of those books does it say pick their drawers, pick their socks. And once again, these are rituals that they have done, and clearly they work. some of your greatest celebrities, your greatest, favorite people have done, and they got it. They got the juice, and so kind of question, it kind of makes you question, the ones who claim they know, but they really don't know. Because it's like, well, baby, you got all the answers, you got all the connections. Why are you a Hobby Lobby? Why are you a hobby witch? Not a Hobby Lobby, a hobby witch. And so that's what it comes down. You see what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to right there. And so I just need everyone to understand that energy is where's that bottom line. The bottom line is energy. The bottom line is energy. Understanding energy, learning the gate, not even the gatekeepers. What would you call it? The overseers of that type of frequency. Everybody have an overseer. Everybody have an overseer. Let's say, for a good example, we're gonna give out some secret tea right now. Let's say, let's get into it. Okay, let's make up a fictitious individual. So let's say Mary Sue was of, African American ancestry, and Mary Sue lived in Florida. Mary Sue loved to garden. She loved to be messy on the internet, fight with people, talk shit about people, but privately, she had two pages. She had a personal page and a public page. The private page, Mary Sue is very homebody, and I love my husband, I love my children, thank you so much, etc., etc. And then the public her is just messy, it's drama. She's reading people down. She's on people's posts saying, "You nigga this, you nigga," that type of thing. There are energies. And I shared this with y'all many, many years ago, and people took that and they ran with it. And what I mean by that, they took it, they applied it, and they started making things happen. They started, owning real estate. They started, doing their own thing, investing. They started, leveling up in their job. They started, helping people with legal issues. There is spirits over Mary Sue just because she's Mary Sue. There are spirits over Mary Sue because she's of African American descent, which means she's, African rooted, but somehow it's the way she got into the Americas, and she's been brainwashed, whether it's her own energy or was projected onto her as an African descendant. So there's spirits over that. And then going into the fact that she likes to be a messy ass individual. Those are other energies and spirits over that, right? And then also going into Florida, there's also energy spirits over that. So this is why magic, regardless of who and what it is still effective. Because once you learn about the powers and the dominions and the principalities and the authorities over energies, vibrations, and we're going to say magnetic fields, come on in here, you will be able to send, touch, and let know. And that's how that works. And it don't have to be nothing major, it don't have to be nothing big, but you can shake some shit up. You don't have to get into the mason jars, the vinegar jars, and all that. Like I said, that's basic, kitty level, barely learning how to trace along the lines type of magic. It does work, to other basic tracing along the lines, kindergarten type people. But to put something on, let's say a Donald Trump figure, let's say a Trump or Donald, that shit ain't gonna work for him. You can put his name in vinegar jars, you can do all that. That's not gonna work for him. There's other things that you have to know about Donald in order to get him together. And so a lot of times, first you have to know his defense system. Who is behind him? Who is protecting him? What is protecting him spiritually? And then once you access that and you confirm that this is what it is, then you slowly start going for that. Then you work your way to him. So you work on the outside in. You don't work on the inside out because you can't get an inside. You cannot get an inside. You don't know what's going on inside. You don't know what's going on those four walls. So you got to work on the outside in. And just so happened, one of his defense systems, by the way, is one of the world's richest men, and he's no longer part of that team. And so, and once again, these are just examples. This is alleged. I don't know what I know, who I know. What I know. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I'm just talking. Allegedly. So you start dismantling the defense systems, okay? And then once they all get in that, once the systems are down, the defense system is down, then you go in. You go in. Okay. And so these are examples of all people and all things. You figure out what, when, why, and how. You stay guard down because they're going to be thrown off. They're going to be so shocked. They're going to say, what, what's going on here? And that's when you get in. That's when you get them. Come on in here. That's when you get them. And so anyway, you got to understand energy. You got to understand energy. And I'm willing to even say this. No, we're not going to talk about it. We'll do something else. Anyway, y'all, that's it. I'm going to take my bed. Let me see who's up in here. If anybody's up here. It's pretty late. Come on in here, King of Sheba. Here's King of Sheba. How are you? I hope you're well. Yes, y'all, I need to take my ass to bed. Last night I slept 6 hours, but y'all, I had energy. I took my beats. Yes, girl, beats is very good for y'all. I took my beats. What else did I take today? My multivitamin. Shout out to Mary Ruth. Multivitamins plus hair. Oh, come on in here. Hello. We stayed hydrated. We drank, our fluids, our coconut water. We got our electrolytes in us, and I was fully charged. Did some teas, did some spiritual work, and yeah. So now I'm prepping for Friday, and I hope you guys are ready. Okay, and so that's it, y'all. Just a little talk of the bed. I got the juice. TwoSpiritMystic.blogspot.com. Oh, and before I forget, the 40 days of protection. Y'all, I figured out a formula, and I would take out this. I figured out a formula on certain things and the power of numbers when it comes to certain things. And I figured that certain energies and entities and intelligences is what I call them, because they know how to work without you tell them how to work, but yet they are a part of you. These energies know what to do and how to do it when to do it. You just have to activate it. And that's why on certain days, certain energies are more powerful than other days. Even though the energies are still accessible on the opposite days, they're more powerful on certain days just for you to get it activated. But they know what to do after they're activated. And so for the 40 days protection, y'all, the first 30 days is meant to retrain your thinking, to retrain and reaffirm your identity. Because a lot of times, and I'm not going to say a little bit of time, we're going to say a lot of times, and we're going to say this is probably 9 out of 10 the case, people be under spiritual attack and people be getting attacked spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever, because they lose their power. They lose their identity. And so because they lose who they are, they become afraid. And fear, it makes you incapable. It traps you. And you're ultimately at the mercies of those who have instilled fear in you. And I'm going to take out this right now. So before I left Stockton, I was in a real serious battle, a real serious legal battle that led to mental and emotional battle. Okay, and we conquered that clearly. But even after I left, there was still some residual energy there. And so after I left, y'all, there was like 2 or 3 years of, silence and rain on me. It was like, whoa, hey, this is good. Oh my God, what's going on? And right when I had this idea, and I'm just going to share this with y'all very lightly, and I'm going to go. I had this idea, right? And I was like, oh my God, let me see what type of energy that I can pull. And I told y'all, there was a person who had a brother, hey, I mean, we can talk about it a little bit. Can we talk about it just a little bit? And I don't care if you judge me. I'm okay with that. And so I knew someone who knew someone who was related to someone, and this person, was like cock blocking for some reason, right? And I feel like this excited energy, this actually fueled the connection, in the ether. And so they were like, I want to let you know, you come here, you see me, but respectfully, I'm gonna have to meet you here because my brother don't get down with the get down, and he don't really play that bullshit, and I want to be respectful. But I'm like, but why would that matter? We're just friends. What would that give? Why would that matter? And so, y'all, this was like years ago, like almost 10 years to this date. I know it was 10 years to this day. It was February of 2015. And so a year and a few months. And so either way, other things was coming up, and I was like, oh, unfortunately, I can't make it. And he's like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? And so we got into it. And I was like, I want to see what the brother looked like. So of course he's posting pictures on his social media of this brother. And I was like, oh, this is my type. And I always believe this, Shaw, and I tell Spirit this all the time. If it's meant for me to cross paths with this person again, allow it to happen. If it's meant for me to meet this person again, make it happen. If it's not meant for us to meet or come together, I'll be okay with that. I understand that there's a lot of people in this world who would like to connect with people and it will never happen. And being someone who was like, a content creator and stuff, I knew people all around the world who wanted me to go see them. And I was like, oh my God, this is so sad. I'm never going to see these people. I'm never going to be able to go to, these places. At the time, that's what I was thinking, to go see them. Like, oh, this is horrible. Like, it was honestly making me feel crazy because I was like, I know them, but I don't know them. And I can't get to know them because there's no way I can go see everybody. Just go see this person, that'll be a $3,000 plane ticket. Anyway, God, it was driving me crazy. And I was like, God, this is not fair. And so I got myself out that mindset. And I just told myself, if it's meant to be, it will be. And so either way, y'all, this so happened. And I told you, this happened with two different people. Mr. Leo is originally from, Southern California. Mr. Leo moves to Northern California to get away from the Southern California fast-paced lifestyle and, all this other stuff. And I thought he was a criminal on the run, but, I did a read on his ass. And I was like, oh, he not. And then just so happened, I relocate to Southern California. And then just so happened, he relocates again. Now, mind you, he the one that helped me pack up my shit to leave. Right? He got everything ready a week before I actually left. And so either way, he literally lived, I think, 15 minutes from me, y'all. And so we came across each other again. I don't know what happened, but I think he said, hey, I remember you said you're moving to Southern California. What area did you move to? And I told him, he's like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I actually went there to go pick up my brother's something. It's something he said. I was like, really? And I said, I thought I saw you at Walmart. And so anyway, so that was just one example of that, of how universe will, bring people back into your life. But y'all, anyway, before I get, so I don't get sidetracked. This guy's brother is from Central California, but they're originally from Southern California. And I guess at that point he lived in Central California, and just so happened, y'all, and mind you, I didn't know where they were, I knew he was in Central California, but I didn't know where exactly he lived at. But when I moved to Southern California, I get on this app, and y'all, I kid you not, I wasn't even on this app for 3 days, and the first person that popped up was his brother. Now, of course, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. Is this, what? Wait. Spirit, are you talking? And so I'm messaging him, and he's not responding. So something said, and of course it was my higher self, you need to pull this energy because it was already initiated. When the brother was kind of hating on you and said, hey, you better not come down here and meet me at my brother's house because he don't play that shit and there might be issues. He stirred up energy there. That activated something. And so, y'all, I literally started working the tea. And I want to say while I was working this tea, I don't remember how many days, but I started working this tea. And I emailed this, brother back, messaged him back. And the brother immediately responded and was like, hey, here's my snap. So I couldn't believe it, y'all. I was like nervous. I was dropping the phone and shit because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. This is working. Okay. So now I was like, okay, I know this is going to be the icing on the cake when I do my seduction tea. Come on in here. And I'm going to get him to meet up with me. and we're going to have our fun. And that's when I'm going to know for real, for real. So sure enough, we exchanged pictures. I didn't get explicit because, of course, I started the work, so I have to dominate the experience. I cannot be like, well, let me send my pictures, and then he's sending pictures. Now where it's a, equal, whatever, playing field. So he started sending me very explicit pictures, and of course I saved them. And I said, bingo! Now I know this energy is working. So of course we set up a time. We met up. We did our quick little 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That was it, and we let it go. And y'all, this is how I know that it's magic, because literally after we did our thing, right? Because it's not permanent unless you're working it permanently. I've not seen this man ever since then. And even on the app, I've not seen him. On the Snap, I don't remember what the Snap name is. And there's a lot of people on that Snap, so I don't know who, what, when, I don't know. But I was like, girl, this is, and then even going into like the neck of the woods that he was in, because, he told me it's neck of the woods. And he was also working as a security guard. And I just went to one of the places that he was security guard at, and I didn't see him there. And I was even kind of asking the people like, hey, do you know, just to be, to be funny, hey, are there any short security guards that work here? And they're like, no. So I was like, oh, this is spirit. And so either way, y'all, the magic, because I was going somewhere with this. Magic, okay? It's all about the intention. It's all about the energy. It's all about, what you put out, you get back. If you're really, really focused on something and you dedicate your time and stuff to that, because I was only focused on him, right? I was only focused on getting this experience. It manifested, it grew. It grew. And so, like I said, I was originally going somewhere with this. And of course, I got into the story. And of course, I don't want to be here that much longer. I'm not going to keep going on and going and going and going and going and going and going. But that's how it works. If it's meant to be, it's going to be. But like I said, work the energy and it'll work out for you. I do not believe that you do rituals, it does not come to pass because it was not time for you. I do feel like you are a creator. I do feel like you are in complete control of your life. And I do feel like your thoughts and your ideas create things, because even the Bible says so. Your words, your actions, your thoughts, this all create things. This starts something. And of course, if things do not manifest from that, there's something going on internally. You having a confliction with something. And it could be the old you and the new you. That's what I said, 30 days. The first 30 days will be working on you retraining, going into the 40-day and the ingredients and the key of me, learning techniques and stuff. I give an example to say I learned techniques and all that. For the 40-day protection, the first 30 days is to rewire your thought process, is to retrain and rebuild your energy. The last 7 to 10 days is to open up new opportunities for what it is that you're trying to bring in. And so for the 40 days of protection, the 30 days is rewiring. So you can understand your power, just how powerful you are, just how you're able to attract anything that you want. And like I said in the beginning of this video, it may seem cliche-ish. It may seem like a cliche. It may seem like it's not real. It may seem like, well, if this is possible, then how? Trust when I tell you this. It all works hand in hand. And that's why I'm gonna leave that. It all works hand in hand. Everything that you deal with has to be a part of the journey, not a part of the obstacle. Unfortunately, a lot of us choose the obstacles over smooth sailing for whatever reason. And this is why we cannot, seem to get ahead. We feel like we're going back, or hey, when I take 2 steps, I take 1 step back. Well, that's just how it is. The energy is going to try to test you to see if you're really who you say you are. So learning, retraining yourself on your power, your abilities, and knowing that you're, in complete control and that nobody has power over you but you, that's going to change your life. So that's it, honey. Love and Light, twospiritmystic.blogspot.com, 28spirit8mystic@gmail.com. You have any questions about any product services that I offer, or where to send those funds at. And like I said, check out the Blogspot servitor class. And of course, the details of it is posted on there. Actually, it's posted on the community. I did not put the servitors class on the blog spot, but it is on the community, and it's telling you, so many times, up until what point, when you'll get your class, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, go to the community post, read that, and like I said, email if you have any questions. Okay. Bye for now. Love and light, love and truth, y'all. Bye. Talk to y'all again soon. Later. Take care.